Let's stay in Durban now, where unions representing Transnet workers have rejected a 3% increase offer. Members have down tools, and Transnet Port Terminals has now declared a force majeure. For an update, let's speak to eNCA senior reporter Dasen Thathiah. Thank you very much for following developments about a story that is critical for South Africa's economic growth. And by all indication, Dasen, it doesn't sound like Transnet is prepared to budge from that 3%. And it also looks like workers are not budging on an above-inflation increase that they have called for or demanded from the employer. So we are sitting at a deadlock, and one wonders if there is a way forward.
Well, that's exactly the types of conversations that are happening at this point between those unions and Transnet. The Transnet is also trying to make sure that it can stop the strike through legal intervention as well. You know, just to contextualize this, we started our day down at the port here in Durban. I must tell you at this point, it doesn't look like a complete shutdown. There is still activity and movement at the port. So this is while preparations are being made for what could potentially be a major strike, and which could affect the port on Monday. That's when Cosatu says that it will come on board. But what's also important to note at this point is what kind of impact this has. So even if there is a slowdown of sorts, what does that mean for the movement of cargo through these terminals? So I'm here now at the Durban Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I'm joined by the President, Prashin Maraj. Mr. Maraj, let's start here with your role in that court interdict that is being sought by Transnet. I understand that the Chamber has also submitted an affidavit. Just talk to me about the reasoning there and what submissions you've made.
Yeah, thank you, Dasen. Firstly, Transnet is a member of the Durban Chamber of Commerce, so it's our duty to support all our members in whatever plight they may find themselves in. Whilst we are very conscious of the hardship that workers go through, at the end of the day, the Durban Chamber of Commerce have got to support its members. Besides Transnet, all the logistics players are members of the Durban Chamber of Commerce. And they have also implored us to do whatever we can to stop the strike from having. We do understand that the workers are suffering, but at the same time, I think after COVID, after looting, after the floods, after a cyber attack, the economy of Durban is hanging on a thread, and we cannot allow this economy to fail. We cannot allow this economy to break. So the best way we could support it is through assisting Transnet with a confirmatory affidavit to stop an economic downfall of this city and this province.
And Mr. Maraj, that's a very sore point there, the economy, not just in KZN, but in the country, in the aftermath of all of those things that you've mentioned. So let's just break this down. Yes, on the one hand, you have to balance the workers' needs with also what this means broadly for the economy. So what does it mean? For every hour or day or week that there is no activity there, potentially at the port, how does it affect us?
So if one goes back to the last massive strike we had in 2010, it was concretely proven that the cost to the economy was 7 billion. If you just escalate that for inflation, we're sitting at a total, and that was a 17-day strike. Cost to the economy today is probably in the region of 12 billion. But if one includes the increase in containers, we're probably looking north of 15 billion. So on a 17-day strike, you're looking just under R1 billion a day that it will cost the KZN economy. In fact, recently, there was a trucking strike, and that cost the KZN economy 300 million rand a day. Now, this is a national strike. So we know that close to R1 billion a day is what will cost us. More importantly, the 2010 strike, it was 17 days, but it took 7 months to clear the backlog in cargo. So, and that's a cost that we cannot afford. So, as I said, Dasen, we are sympathetic to the plight of the workers, and we urge them to continue negotiations without embarking on a strike.
Let me just get your closing thoughts on this. So where does that then leave these industry players? I mean, everyone that relies on the port, I'm talking about all of the stakeholders here, while these negotiations happen, because it seems like there is something of a deadlock at this point. What are the contingency plans?
Well, right now, there's not much we can do. The port, especially the port of Durban, is very close. There's two roads that enter and exit the port. So if those roads are blocked, the entire port system is closed. So, for example, in my private capacity, I have a shipyard in the port of Durban. If those roads are blocked, my workers cannot come to work, and there's a no work, no pay policy. So it will have a domino effect on the entire maritime industry. And, you know, a lot of people will suffer as a result of this. From a contingency point of view, all we can do is embark on this legal action, continue good diplomatic negotiations with the chamber, with the unions, and really implore them to think that the economy is in such a fragile state. We can't afford job losses, we can't afford inefficiencies, and for us, that's the only contingency we can make, given the nature of the port.
Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Prasheen Maraj there from the Durban Chamber. Rafio, so seriously, it's a sad state of affairs here, and potentially this could have a serious impact on the economy here in KwaZulu-Natal, one that is already battered for all of those reasons that Mr. Maraj was mentioning a short while ago.
Very, very worrying picture that's been painted there, but not just for KwaZulu-Natal, Dasen. The numbers that he mentioned in terms of economic losses range over 7 billion rand a day. I mean, that is very scary, and let's just hope that a resolution will be found sooner rather than later. That is eNCA senior reporter Dasen Thathiah joining us from Durban there, giving us a sense of the implications of the current strike action being taken on by workers at Transnet.